start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag and to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for just a moment. You're really tired of having to do these, but I would like to have a brief moment of silence in memory of a young man who passed away unexpectedly in the town. He's been a lifelong resident, Mr. Caleb Burleson. If you just please join me. Thank you. I'd like to say for the record that Caleb, a lifelong area resident, was one of the kindest, sweetest, gentlest, one of the most amazing young men anybody could have ever interacted with. And Julianne, my new wife, and our hearts go out to his mom, Tina, his dad, Scott, stepmom, Connie, grandfathers, Norm and Dan, and the rest of Caleb's twin brother, Connor, and Brandon. Our condolences are with you, and I will say that if for whatever reason, if anybody's flipping through channels and catches this either on TV or YouTube and you're in a dark place, reach out. You're worth it. There are people out that can help you through anything in life, and there's no reason, grief, anger, frustration, sadness. There's no reason in life to end your journey before it's over. Thank you. It was kind of hard, but all right.
So we do have, I'm sorry, but we do have one. You might addition to the agenda, as requested by a couple select board members. Before you move on to the warrants,
Yep.
we'd like to talk about the McQuam Shore grant application that we're considering with Swan.
Yep. Maybe that's okay. So I take a motion to add the walkability study in concert with the Swanton Town Select Board as agenda item number, it'd be the new number 7 just before the town manager's report. Does that make sense for everybody to put that there?
You mean between 5 and 6?
It'd be between 6 and 7, after contract, before manager's report.
Okay. 6A.
I think there could be a
Sure.
good discussion. I'll just make it the new 6, and the manager's report would be the new 8. Does anybody have any that work?
Yep.
All right, so if someone would make that motion.
So moved.
All in favor, please signify.
Second.
No,
Second now, sorry. Second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Jessica was on it.
Discussion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. We'll address that. Okay, so Jessica has the industrial park warrants?
Stonehouse.
Okay, good.
So, just go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have warrants for the Stonehouse account totaling $513.69, all to Sticks and Stuff. So I make the motion to approve these warrants dated June 3rd.
Any second?
Seconded.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh, sorry, I don't vote anymore unless it's to break a tongue. So we've approved the Stonehouse warrants. Bruce has 2 payroll warrants.
Yeah, first payroll warrant I've got is for May 31st in the sum of $33,065.52. The second one is for May 24th, and it's for $18,286.84. Make a motion to approve these 2 payroll warrants.
Any seconds?
Seconded.
Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Mr. Dukas, you have the general.
I
fund?
have the general warrants dated 5/21/19 to 6/03/19 for the amount of $194,363.74. A total of 98 invoices. St. Albans Police was 87% of that total, $168,585. And the rest were just small amount, $5,200 even less than that for Ace Hardware. But there was 21 invoices for tax overpayments, and that's where people have money given out of their bank accounts to the town. And at the end of the quarter, when they're due, we have to refund the excess. But they didn't amount to much money, but there was a total of 21. And I would make a motion to accept the payroll warrants as
General warrant.
general warrants, not payroll. We pay out, but they weren't payroll. Of $194,363.74.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the minutes.
I have several corrections. Not serious. On page 3, park ordinance draft number 1, the last sentence of the first paragraph. Avogel suggested, quote, no hiring, end quote, signs be posted around the, and I added perimeter of town forest as opposed to just the town forest. Perimeter being
Boundary.
the boundary lines facing outward. That was one. The second is on page 4, town manager BDSO recognized and should be thanked town manager. And finally, other business. The last sentence of other business, BDSO suggested pictures of their work. I would substitute thus as opposed to so, thus far for social media.
You make a motion that we approve
And
that
I move
with
that
those
we move
corrections?
as amended.
Okay.
I wasn't here to take part in this, but I just don't understand. Bruce Cheeseman was unwilling to attend tonight's meeting. What is that? We're absent for executive session, he's absent for the regular meeting, but,
Make that absent, please.
huh?
If we could make that absent. Let's make that correction.
Just remove the word unwilling.
Yeah, and replace it.
Just period. Remove the
absent.
word. Yeah, okay.
Just
Thank
make
you.
it absent.
I've never been unwilling to attend any meeting.
So again, I move all those corrections.
Second, anybody?
I can't second, I wasn't here.
Okay, second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No oppositions, one abstention. Correct? You're gonna abstain from that vote.
I have to abstain, I wasn't here.
Okay, I'm just making sure. All right, so we're through minutes. We're going to go on to, is there anybody here for public comment tonight? No public comments? Okay, moving on to new agenda. Well, no, okay, so we added that after the town manager's contract. So we can say that the board met tonight in an executive session. We have a couple of changes to talk with the town manager about, and we'd like a pending legal review, and then we'll get back to you when we have more information to share on that. And then now we're on to the new agenda item number 7, which was working in concert with the Swanton Town Select Board on a grant to obtain.
It's a grant to obtain a scoping study for I'm not sure it's a sidewalk, it's a,
It's to look at bike ped options.
ped options.
Along Mequam Shore.
right.
So Swanton was here at the last meeting, and they've been really well organized and doing outreach and building up public support for it.
So I would suggest that we try to, either independently or a joint application to the V-Trans for this project.
And so tonight, what you're looking for is just consensus that you support the project? Or I'm hoping that you'll give us consensus.
Well, consent, I'm making a motion to do that because we're
Okay.
obligated to 20% of the costs.
But we don't know what the costs are yet. I mean, yes, I,
20% of,
right.
divided between the town of Swanton and the town of St. Albans.
The
We
application.
don't know what the scope is yet either. We haven't defined how far, where,
Right.
but I would say that I'm in support fully of working with them to develop that scope, and then I think we should check back in once we see where that's at.
So we don't have a lot of time. The grant is due at the end of the month. We need to have a letter of support, if that's appropriate, at the next select board meeting on the 17th, for approval or not, because at that point, they would like to then submit the grant later that week.
Well, how about, do you know that it is a requirement of the grant, or is
Yes.
it? Okay, so it is. So why doesn't, to show our support and to give undivided consensus, what, if somebody would be willing to make a motion to authorize me to sign a letter of support
I can
before
do it
that
at your next meeting. I just mean we
Well,
don't
if you
have.
want it done beforehand.
At this point, I disagree, because I would like all 5 people, and I know that Jessica can't be here next week, but maybe she could come in either before or after and sign the letter.
Well, if you want all 5, yes, that's fine.
Again, it's psychological. If we all sign it versus a motion to let one person sign it, I think it looks more powerful. And I assume at the Swanton Select Board also. So you'll have 10 citizens.
I just went to
requesting.
that because it's usually a little easier to obtain. Just
I think
single
it's a
signature.
good idea, and
Yeah.
I support it, but I kind of still would like to know what our financial commitment is gonna be.
Are you asking for support,
Well, he's just
consensus to
writing a letter now.
support the grant
Okay.
application itself? And then we'll review what the terms of this grant are if we are so fortunate enough to receive one? Or are we
Well-
looking for more in-depth?
I think what we're looking for right now is that you support the grant, and they're exploring right now the cost for that grant, so we'll have an estimate. I just don't know how detailed the budget will be, but we should have an estimate on how much the total picture costs and what percentage is ours. That's my hope for the next meeting.
So why can't we just say that we support the grant? I mean, we do support it, right?
Yeah, we support the
Support
grant.
that.
Unanimously,
We
and support the application. And then,
review the terms later on.
Yeah, you don't have to make a motion this evening, but I would say
Don't
next
want to
time.
back out.
I'm
Right.
not backing out.
Well, it depends on what it is, of course.
That's what I'm saying. Even if the worst case scenario, we didn't like the figure, I still don't think we should back out.
Well, we're committing ourselves tonight, all right?
Okay, I think committing is a different,
Have there been any figures that you'd be comfortable sharing, throwing around?
I don't
at
have
all
a
yet?
budget yet. I don't
Okay.
have anything. I talked to someone today about it, but
They gotta understand there's a certain amount of skepticism
Right.
when you agree to do something if you don't know the amount of money.
yeah, well, they're gonna also have you sign another piece of paper, so
Yeah.
you have that.
Okay.
When
So
Mrs.
why don't we
Guiney
just
was
say that we
here.
agree that we support the grant application.
Talking out of turn.
Go ahead, go ahead.
No, I forgot we have to talk to you first.
No, go ahead.
When Mrs. Guiney was here, she was forced off the road with her bicycle riding, and Alan Mastier, we were talking about making a ditch in their order and stuff, and we're pretty well pinched in some areas of that road, so it's gonna be expensive. We may have to do eminent domain, which I'm totally against, so I think we need to look at more of the details. We go after the grant, then we see what we gotta do, and if we gotta back out, I would back out, but.
This
you're
is just a
different.
scope,
scoping.
this is just a scoping.
It's a
That's
study.
fine,
So
but
we
take a
know
look
where
at
the
it.
costs are.
Yep.
And whether we have to use eminent domain or not.
That's what Bruce said.
I think we jumped to eminent, I'm not saying we jumped to eminent domain. Eminent domain, it's a reasonable thing to consider when you're talking about expanding right-of-ways, but if you have a core group of people, and it seems as though Macquam Shore residents are that core group, advocating for this scoping study, maybe they would be willing to allow something of that.
We'll find out when you.
I think there's a lot more information
I think
to
we're
come.
getting ahead of ourselves.
But
Just,
there's a lot more information to come. I think we can honestly
let's go and
I
get the
think we're getting
information.
ahead of ourselves
Yeah.
too. I mean, Swanton is doing it regardless. So to me, it's an opportunity. They're moving ahead and it's a grant. If we go in together, our application will seem that much stronger
Yeah.
too.
And we
I don't even like to use the word eminent domain, to tell you the truth.
Okay, so you have consensus. And
Sure.
then looking
We
forward,
took the long way around.
Looking
You got it.
yes,
looking
yes, you
forward
did
to
it.
more information on the 17th.
Perfect.
Then if you need if you would like a letter signed by all of us, let's coordinate with Jessica's schedule.
I agree.
Since she can't be here at the 17th.
Yeah,
Either
I can always
before.
pop in.
To sign it. So do we need a motion to create a letter like that? Or
No,
can we
we'll
just all
make one
sign
and
it?
I'll bring it to the next, I'll have it ready for the 17th.
And then you come in after. Okay, perfect. All right, I just want to make a note. Thank you. Okay, so if that agenda item satisfied, let's move on to the town manager's report.
All right, so the first item is a second review of the parks ordinance. You have a clean copy and then one with the track changes copy. So hopefully you can quickly scan through it and see what we were proposing to change. I don't know if anyone has any questions on those items. Trying to clarify the smoking, no smoking,
Yeah, I have some questions.
okay?
4.1, Section 4. What is the code enforcement officer appointed by the town select board? Who is that and what is it?
I had the same thing marked.
Huh?
I had the same thing marked.
The code enforcement officer?
Appointed by the select board.
I'm not sure, I think that might be,
I had that circle too.
I thought it was the same person as the constable, but that also makes it very difficult to enforce. Like, we're not gonna have the
I don't know what it
constable in
is.
our
I had
town,
You're right.
park all the time.
Why don't we,
Well,
whoever.
and also the police.
Yeah, I
We
know.
don't appoint them.
That's correct, you don't. I mean, for the junk, we have someone that we appoint as the enforcement officer. For animal control, we have an enforcement officer of sorts, and for health officer, we don't have one, for the parks, other
Junk,
than the
we-
police.
We only have one, when we have a problem, we call on somebody.
Correct, that's absolutely correct,
So
yeah.
any certified law
So-
enforcement officer or code enforcement officer appointed by the select, why not just eliminate?
The word appointed by the select board,
Yeah, I mean,
because we don't
what
normally
is a
do-
code enforcement officer?
Well, it's somebody who we want to give the authority to enforce this ordinance, but practically speaking, we never do that because we're not gonna
To make
have,
But isn't our fire chief our code enforcement officer?
public safety officer,
he's public
Public
safety,
safety?
yeah.
but that's public safety and health.
That's what I mean, practically
Would it make
speaking, we're
any
not gonna
sense?
have them patrol the parks.
But would it make any sense to appoint?
Why not?
And I don't know if it does, but to appoint the parks director as a parks code enforcement officer, so he has the ability to write a ticket?
Why wouldn't the park, that'd be an excellent choice.
Yeah,
The park
then-
director.
Then, you know, the staff
We'd
can
have
bring
to
it to
add
the
it to his
manager's
job
attention.
description.
I think we just make it any certified law enforcement officer or
The parks director.
parks director and or town manager. I think town manager should have the same authority. Just in
Like Gary
case.
doesn't patrol the park.
I don't really patrol the park
Well,
either,
if you have 2 or 3 reports from different employees, I'm just thinking what would the town have the ability to write its own ticket if we were in
think
a
we-
position of not having a parks director for a
most
period of
cases, if
several
got the
it's,
police
if it's
department.
egregious, the police are gonna be called and they're gonna take care
I
of
would
it.
just leave it at the parks
Yeah.
department, because if the parks manager, if somebody has a complaint with the parks manager, they're gonna go to Carrie, so she can't be both an enforcement
No.
officer and a, so to speak.
checks and
Judicial.
balances. Okay. All right.
Besides that, we don't have another badge to give her.
I'd like one.
Particularly
should-
gold one.
Okay.
Okay.
I would make one out of tinfoil.
The 4.1, what is the municipal complaint ticket?
We have a separate book that's just a municipal ticket and you put the codes in there. It's judicial bureau. It's all processed through the judicial bureau.
Nothing that we have to generate municipal.
Well, if we actually write a
Complaint.
municipal ticket, you can write on our own ticket books,
Like
kinda
the
like the
junk
dog.
ordinance and zoning violations. And
Okay.
Yep.
Like dog licenses are probably the same thing. No.
Yes, dog fines are on the same ticket books. We have them. We have stacks of them, actually. We don't use them that often,
That's a good piece of
but we have
education.
them.
You want me to
So-
continue till I finish what I have?
Yeah, I just want to say 431. Any mention of a code enforcement officer in regard to enforcing anything, let's just replace that with parks director throughout the whole document.
Park supervisor.
Park supervisor, whatever the
Correct.
exact title is. Okay. All right. Yes.
I got over the no smoking, and I'm not a smoker. But 519, and we got building, I know people smoke outside the building here.
Yep.
So we're stopping that here.
No, that wasn't the intent.
It's in here, oh. In lands, owned by the town of St. Albans?
Show me no reference park.
Can we go out to the church to smoke? Is that what we gotta
We
do?
got a 25-foot setback for smoking here,
Was it 25 or 50? One or the other.
25-foot setback.
I think we just make it parks. I don't know. What is it? I think the.
I mean, I think
Actually, the
the,
two smokers that I'm aware of in the town either go into their cars or walk towards the church.
right, and that the road and the church are public,
Yeah, the
not
road.
ours, they're not ours.
Well,
Well, the road is, I guess, technically ours.
owned by the so and land's owned by the town of St. Albans. Every road that we own is land owned by the town of St. Albans.
Well, some of it's an easement, actually.
You're gonna have a lot of.
Yeah, but you're not going to restrict smoking on town roads.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There could be
Right.
some conflicting language
Yeah.
in here I'm glad Stan brought that up.
So why not remove it?
Mhm.
Land
All
owned.
reference. Why don't we make it the park, the dock, and then buildings, and then just eliminate lands.
In buildings?
Well, yeah, you can smoke
Can't
in the
smoke in the
building,
building.
right?
Right.
But there's land. There are lands that we own where it's not uncommon. Like, do we own the road in the industrial park? Is that our own? We
Yes.
own the land under it. So we're gonna tell somebody from Peerless if they go out and smoke on the sidewalk, in our right of way, that we're gonna fine it. I just don't wanna get into that situation of, I think we regulate one thing and then I just don't
How
wanna
about
see this language
just something
be,
simple like where smoking is prohibited?
well, that's what,
Where the signage is.
Prohibited by the town.
I think you just do parks,
Right.
docks and buildings. Parks, dock and buildings and then
Yeah, but
eliminate
you're-
lands.
you're-
Just put,
pointing-
as Bruce is suggesting, smoking is prohibited in all town parks, the dock, and public buildings,
Yeah.
Town forest.
and town forest. Excuse me.
That's not considered a park in this ordinance?
I thought they were.
Well, we can check that out, but, yeah, okay.
We can say including town forest.
Well, then you eliminate lands, and then there goes the debate.
Oh, true, just the word lands.
Yeah, just and and then see if town forest falls under the definition of park in this ordinance, and if not, have it. Just for the pollution factor. Well, that's where I'm coming from, but that doesn't.
Okay, 6.1.
Okay.
Town park should normally be open to the public every day of the year during daylight hours. So we're plowing and doing everything there and so people can get in our parks.
When did that go in?
I don't know, I'm just reading what you have here.
Town park should normally be open to the public.
Well, they're not open 24/7.
No,
It's just open every day of the year.
Every day of the
sunrise to
year, it's
sunset.
not every day.
Well, they're not. Parks,
Well-
the Bay Park's not open in the winter.
None of them.
None of
None of
them
them
are.
are.
They're all shut down. What is it? They're open Memorial Day to Labor Day?
That's still being.
I mean, that's a, if I could speak, that's,
Come for, if you're gonna speak on it, I'd ask that you come up, just so we get the,
I just had one real quick thing, you can say it quicker than I just got there.
you never know, we might not let you leave right off.
But
I thought there was a place that stated those holidays in here.
How do you feel about Memorial Day to Labor Day? While we have the guts of this ordinance open.
I feel that's fine, the only thing I was gonna say is the park is closed after Labor Day, but we do open the gates for ice fishermen at Cohen and the Bay during some winter months, so it's
And if you do the ice
conflicting
rink.
with what the ordinance says, is all I was gonna say.
Do you think there's room in that schedule to see expanded use? Maybe not earlier, given the flooding that we're witnessing now, but maybe later in the fall? Can you get another reasonable month at a Bay and Cohen Park in the forest? Could you make it Halloween? I mean,
I just don't have the work staff.
you don't have the staff. That's what it boils down. But could you, at a later date, if this board decided to fund staff for that? Do you think it's a reasonable decision that, or something that we should talk about?
I think feasibly the parks, Cohen and Bay, can be left open for a good month or two later, yes. But,
But you don't have the,
usually, by October 1st, you wanna have the water shut down and buildings drained off so you're ready for winter.
what's at the, when, yeah, okay.
But at least
So your
one
maintenance
more
plans.
month.
Well, the other problem, though, if you extend that to the end of October, I don't know about your temporary employees, but usually they have other jobs beginning for the winter,
Or they go back to school.
or they go back to school.
Most of them are
We've gotta-
school, so.
How many
So-
people would you need that late in the fall to be able to stay on top of those two parks? Would you need multiple people, or do you think you could get away with your director? Or your supervisor, sorry.
So we'd probably have to think about
Think
that. I don't
about
wanna
it. Yeah,
start
that's-
guessing off the cuff.
Well, if we've got
That's
this, if we've got
kind of
this,
in-depth for,
well, I know what we're doing. I mean, I'm just thinking, as long as we have this ordinance open and we're gonna.
Right, no, I hear you, but I don't like to make,
I don't wanna make
estimates
anything
on-
tonight,
Okay,
but it sounds like, we're through the first member's comments and we've got a litany of changes to either make or discuss.
true.
And I think it's a discussion that
The only thing I would suggest is that
Awesome.
you include opening the gates for ice fishermen and ice skating if you have it in the future.
And then I think there should be,
Because the park is open once you open the gates.
and we should work with,
True.
we're gonna continue that practice and mention it in the ordinance. I think we should talk to our, property and casualty insurance provider to see if there's any signage that should be placed for ice, since we're not.
Yeah, see, right now in section 7 and section 9, the first line of the Bay Park and the Cohen Park talk about how, well, it's the second line. The park has a few amenities, but does not provide bathroom facilities, from Memorial Day to Labor Day. That's where the Memorial Day to Labor Day thing comes in. But your point is well taken, that we don't necessarily plow all of the other times either.
They're not open.
Well, they are intermittently, but.
Well, the gates are closed. Sometimes I've been through here year after year. If we're changing, fine.
Yep,
And
should do it knowingly.
We should
it just
discuss.
contradicts also the forest, because part of that says you're gonna close it for snowfall. So,
is it that big of a demand to make such a change as this? I mean, for the parks for that additional month?
Yeah.
We don't know that.
I think so.
We don't know, we can't predict the weather from year to year.
Call us and tell us if you want them open later. I want to know.
Yeah, call in.
Yeah.
It's here.
People can call.
524-2415 or call that number any day after this. Let us know. I really, maybe it's
I think it really just clarification of language. It's not a big deal.
well, right, but
it's not a big deal, Al, but we went from 3 pages to yours to 12. That's a big deal. So
It's here
we
for
just
the
put it on the
public.
correct
I just want to know.
language.
I want to know what it would cost to provide an open and cared for park through the end of September. What would you need? What do you report to her? She'll come to us, maybe in a meeting or two. I don't know what the appropriate amount of time would be to come up with that math, but that's one thing that I hear over and over again is it's Labor Day. We've got a month, maybe 2 good months left, and the gates are locked. Like, what's going on down there? I mean, extending it back further towards April, maybe there could be language that said, at the discretion of the manager and the public works director, they may be, or at the select board or whoever, that the gates may be opened earlier. Of course, this year with this flooding, we wouldn't have been able to do that. But how long has the park supervisor been on payroll this year? It's been getting the parks ready.
May 1st.
Yeah, so May 1st. So maybe sometimes if we get a low,
With the 2 parks, the industrial park and all the maintenance to get everything cleaned up from the winter, it takes you a good month, and usually a lot of that time he's by himself, and I'm using public workers to help get that orchestrated. Because a lot of our part-time workers are either high school workers or they're college. So most colleges, they're not out of college till about May 15th or 20th, and that's just putting us about a week before opening.
so let's leave that alone and then maybe look at the fall.
The fall, I don't have a problem with. The spring, I would say I'd leave alone. 'Cause
I'd like to see what it's gonna cost the taxpayers to do that.
Yeah. If it's like,
definitely.
I think if we could get another month out of that park for $5,000 or less, it's a no-brainer. With that walking path and how well utilized that is, because like Stanley says, we do not plow it. It is closed in the winter. But if you drive by, and even if we've seen 12 inches of snow that morning, if the sun's out, that path is packed down. People use it. I mean, give them that use in the fall when there's no snow on the ground, and maybe someday some board in the future will decide that they're going to plow that path in the winter and use it all year round. That's not for us to decide right now in the position that we're in. But maybe we could look at extending it from Labor Day to a date further in the
I
future.
see the path underwater now,
Right
a
now,
portion of it, yeah.
It's actually dry now.
Is it up?
The
Good.
water has receded and it is dry, so,
Okay.
which is a good thing. And sun's in the forecast, so.
Yes, it is.
this week,
I think Stan needs to move on.
right?
Yeah, I think we all need to.
Not me, you guys,
No,
I'm
you-
just bringing something up. Oh, on this?
Yeah.
Go forward on this.
Yes.
646, parking a vehicle or trailer overnight at a park. The only time that I know that we park vehicles is when the Conservation Corps, they were staying there overnight in this park, so they came and asked for permission. So can we do it for that? Can they get permission to?
Permitted use, subject to the
Permitted
select
use?
board.
Are you finding, did you get any requests from
Ken.
people for like the car show, the vendors and stuff wanna come in the night before and set up? Because a lot of those guys have trailers that they stay in,
That's a very good point.
and the farmer's market, setting up the night before.
Farmers market is pretty quick. They set up the day of, about an hour before the event. Bay Day event, my food vendors usually set up the night before.
It's a conflict with our,
They
the
don't,
practice conflicts with the.
Yeah.
but they don't
ordinance.
stay there. Either they have relatives or family in the area, or they stay in a
Well, no,
hotel.
it's just, the way this reads now, to Stan's point, is it's parking a motor vehicle or trailer overnight at a park. That's not, you don't have to be in it, it's just leaving it there. So should there be an allowed practice?
That's what I meant, I wasn't
For
talking about them
vendors
staying alone.
associated with a, maybe it's just a line in the, if you're gonna become a vendor, we wanna know
I
when
mean,
you're
it's
gonna
a
be
town
there.
event, so I would assume would allow them. I mean,
Yeah, it's
it's
just-
not allowing a camper in the parking lot or something.
My mind goes to, you're leaving something, I think this is in there because some board previously, whenever that was put in, might have been worried about the liability of leaving things overnight and didn't want junk vehicles left in overnight. That's an obvious concern. So I guess my only request would be that we maybe, again, contact somebody at Passive through the league and see what they would need to relinquish the town of any liability if something was damaged, if it was parked overnight as part of a festival.
The reason that it's in there is we've had transient campers come in through town, see the park, go in there and set up, stay the entire weekend,
Oh,
okay? So we've faced that in the past.
Or here. you
And
know,
we've had to have people, ask them to leave. So that's the reason that's in there.
well, that's
My crew's pretty good about telling everyone to get out. On nice nights, if they wanna just start
Get out.
days or whatever,
get out or please leave.
please leave.
Thank you.
First time.
The first time.
They've gone even as far as walking over to the creamy stand asking if certain vehicles. I will tell you, last week we locked a car in the park overnight because there was no one to be found. I never got a call. They came the next day and got it, so. I can't be a police force. I mean, if there's a car, we lock the gate. If they need it bad enough, they'll call me. My number and Robbie's number are both on the office door, so I can come down and let them out. But,
There.
I think as far as an ordinance, if it's
You just.
vendors like for Bay Day or whatever, I think you gotta allow them to set up the day before.
It's just how we go about
absolutely.
doing that. It's how we do
Yeah.
that.
It's
And what-
for a town event.
It's just what needs to be in place to protect us.
Yep.
Maybe without prior town permission, they have to get approval, and it could
Without,
be,
yeah.
it
no,
could be Alan saying, yes, you can do it, but.
Right.
Well,
Without town prior
Why not
approval.
just
Right.
Put that in
Part of
there
that-
and handle it.
Take
part
the
of
plate
that
number and you
approval
know where they
might
are,
have
right?
to be
Well,
some
any
type of a
event
liability
like Bay
release.
Day, they
But you're
have
not
to give
gonna
me the
get, you
registration
can't get an
and
insurance
so it's
company
for.
to absolve a town from all liability. I
So-
mean, that's not what insurance
For a
does.
piece of for this trailer with this plate number that will be parked here from this time to this time on these dates.
Just
The
have them
town is
sign a
not-
statement that they'll hold the town responsible.
Yeah, give us a hold harmless for parking equipment, just in case, if you had a bunch of vendors parked down there overnight and then 2 o'clock in the morning, somebody went in, graffitied all their trailers or stole out of them, we don't have an active surveillance system down there. It's no, I mean, that's no secret. So I just wanna make sure that the town's protected in the case of that happening. That's all.
You call other towns because other towns do it and they don't go to that severity.
We ask all our vendors
It's done all
now
over
for
the state.
insurance and registration before they come to our
But
events.
just because they have insurance doesn't mean that that insurance company would not, oh, they don't have any cameras, it's not fenced around the perimeter of the property, we're gonna sue passive and try to split the cost. That's how insurance companies operate. I would like a piece of paper that says if your piece of equipment that you're leaving overnight in a park is damaged, the town's held harmless. That's all. And if it's not something that the rest of the board wants, then that's fine. We're a 5-member board. It's just my opinion.
Let's be careful we don't chase people away.
Yeah.
That's
No, I just make it a
another
part of the approval process. It could be just a little blurb at the bottom of an application to park.
We don't have an application to park right now.
We should have. I mean,
Let's not make it too
thing.
bureaucratic.
No, let's not.
okay. Okay.
Let's wait till the first accident.
Yeah, let's wait till it happens first time.
Let's see how we get through the first one.
Brendan will remember and he'll go, listen,
I told
Yeah.
you so.
Hey, 20 years from now, I'll be writing a letter to the paper saying, on this date,
I jinxed the town.
we'll blame it on someone who's not here.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I'll come back
Stanley.
to some more there later, but 6/4/14, the conducting or carrying on any parade formal celebration. Would you call a wedding a formal celebration?
Yeah. Because you need to use the
But they do
grounds.
get permission, and we have the assemblages ordinance that prevents large crowds, and anyone who wants to reserve it does come and get written permission.
So they have to get permission before they do that.
There's usually like facility rental fees associated.
And
with
any
that.
large event, that's what the assemblages ordinance protects.
But we have a festival permit.
Yes, we
for
do.
Anything big in the town was
Okay.
smaller parties.
Right.
Are you satisfied with that line?
I'll come back to some other. So you've covered yourself here, section 7. If we fix 6.1, it'll cover section 7,
Okay.
okay?
Yep. Okay.
Well, I got a couple more here. We're putting removable docks in at the bay dock.
No,
Well, we got it in here. The bay dock includes a large permitted dock facility, the removable docks.
Yeah, so that's gotta be, it's a good
that should be
catch.
taken out. We did
No
did away
oversight.
with that last
Right.
year,
When you
so.
look at
Yep.
8.4, it's conflicting language that under 8.4 removable dock slip rental, the town does not offer the rental of slip for boats. Period.
I didn't know if you were
Removable
gonna
dock
put them
doesn't
in the
necessarily
tie-up.
mean
Maybe.
rental. for
So
boats.
intermittent, there'll be no slips, no dock.
There you go.
We had to stay away from that, remember last year, because of the
ADA.
ADA accessibility, so.
So we're gonna
So
fix
leave
that.
it as it's presented in here then?
No, because the bay dock includes a large permanent dock facility.
Oh,
the
the top, I
removable
missed that
docks,
part, okay.
Yeah. And then fit 8.1, you're gonna have to go through there and catch anything that says removable docks and eliminate it.
Right. Take
This is-
anything that says removable
Yeah,
out.
there's another one for 8.3.
Yes.
It's just housekeeping at that point. It's a good catch, Stan.
Cullen Park. And that's gonna be, 6.1 is being fixed, so this should be fixed and, we're gonna close it for hunting.
Owen?
Cohen Park?
No, Cullen Park's, right, 6.1 will cover Cullen Park for opening and closing. Town forest, hunting, all forms of hunting are not allowed and will be governed by statute and rules set forth by the.
Yeah, I don't think you need, if we're gonna not allow it, I don't think we need to reference any statutes or governing rules.
Are we disallowing any hunting at forest, in the forest park? I think we should allow hunting, especially during deer hunting.
See, I have a toss up on that one because you've got so many people that have been doing it for so many decades, and you've got a life safety concern with these trails being upgraded. There are going to be more and more people that are going up there.
people without orange hats. So it's just I think,
The more you improve, you build these new trails like we're doing with this grant money, the more you build it, they will come. I'm worried about when they come, somebody might get hurt because you've got an existing use that might be well practiced up until this point, but with this influx of new traffic that we might be expecting, could turn into be a dangerous use. I don't know. And I do really, that's one that I'm like adamantly unwilling to get to the point that we have the first incident and then look at again. That's just too much.
You
Plus
know, we
there's
have,
tons
like
of-
you said, go ahead, Al, I'm sorry.
there's tons of forest all around. So it's not a matter that we're restricting the whole hill.
There's a lot of posted land. The state deer herd is larger than it ever has been because of the posted land.
Especially in this area.
Yes, so,
There are more doe permits issued in this county than I would hazard to guess possibly any other county in the state.
Yeah,
We
but
have
I'm
a
just, yes, but
large
just,
amount of
just look at
animals.
French Hill. I'm aware that, of a number of large properties that are allowing hunting on them.
Well, does this trail network? Is there a medium here? Is there a part of the trail network that doesn't extend into a certain part of the forest where? I guess when you're using firearms, that whole 140 acres is in range. I mean, I just don't know. I don't know. I just
How long is I'm not a hunter, but how long is the hunting
you
season?
have archery
Could it
starting
just-
in the
well, we
beginning.
got a person right over here from the Vermont Fish and Game Board,
Yeah.
Jay Sweeney, Captain Sweeney.
Would you like to speak to this?
I would.
Please come up and take.
Al, I think you just got comfortable in the chair.
Provide us with good information.
So, for those that don't know me, my name is Jay Sweeney. I do sit on the Fish and Wildlife Board I'm the Franklin County rep, but I'm not here representing the Fish and Wildlife Board. I'm a town resident, I am a hunter, and I am obviously opposed to this for a number of reasons. I think when you have town property supported by taxpayer dollars, hunters are taxpayers too. And I think the ban hunting, you're excluding a select group with no real, in my mind, justification for that. I understand the concern with increased use. That's a speculation, as well as a speculation that there could be an incident, maybe not. I have no idea how many people hunt up there, if any. But I can tell you from my perspective, the Vermont Fish and Wildlife is undergoing a very comprehensive review of their hunting regulations right now, specifically deer hunting, because we're trying to get a better handle on the deer herd. The challenges we face, and this county is one of them, we do issue the largest number of doe permits in this county because of population control issues. The herd is outgrowing the available feed and land to support them, which is detrimental to the health of the deer. It's detrimental to the health of the forest with overbrowsing and things like that. So when you close a piece of property to hunter access, which is your real only strong means of controlling a deer herd, you're not doing your forest any good because you're just the deer coming in overbrowsing, and you're not improving the health of the herd. The best control of any wildlife management tool is oftentimes the hunters. So I'm urging you to really look at this very carefully before you take this step, because it's hard to back away from what you do. Speaking as a hunter and as a town resident, I think that this is a big leap. Hunter access, we've done I think we've done 9 hearings around the state on the proposed rule changes for deer herd and what are hunters' concerns. And hunter access is in the top 5 because there is so much posted land. And there may be land that isn't posted, but there's probably not a lot of deer in those areas. I don't know. I have hunted an area that I hunt regularly that I hope to see deer pass through, but I know that it's old growth forest and it doesn't hold deer on a regular basis. But I think Franklin County is like many other counties. Hunter access, posted land is a huge problem. We're losing hunters because of it. We're losing revenue because of it. But we've never looked at this as a revenue-driven issue. It's a matter of hunter satisfaction and controlling our wildlife herds so they're healthy, and at the same time trying to maintain healthy forests.
Do you have examples from other town forests around the state, how maybe they've hit a middle ground between the two?
I don't know much about other town forests. I've been up to this town forest twice, and both of those were to look for somebody lost. I've never even really set foot in there to enjoy the beauty of it. I understand it's a nice place. I can tell you from state wildlife managers areas, we're facing the same struggles because there's so much posted land. You get a huge influx of hunters on state wildlife lands, and you know when you bring a bunch of hunters in, the deer go elsewhere to posted land, and managing those forests is a challenge too, because it all takes money, it all takes time and effort and managers to run it and people to get in and do the work, and I don't know what the happy medium here is. We're hoping that these new regulations kind of give us some steps ahead to get a better control on the herd numbers, but you can never make everybody happy. So.
How many weeks is the current deer season?
Well, the archery season runs the month of October. Rifle season is 2 weeks in November.
Plus youth. Plus youth weekend.
Youth weekend is a weekend just before rifle season, and then you have black powder season is a week in December.
And that's when your antlerless deer permits are issued. It's for black powder. It's done through a lottery, and a lot of times, especially in this county, there are antlerless permits for
What
this
are the
area that go unclaimed.
Moose permits given out.
Moose permits are decided at our spring meetings.
That's a lottery, right?
It is a lottery. This year, because of the condition of the moose herd, the board decided to issue 0 permits because of the tick infestation. Last year, they collared 30 yearling moose, and there's 19 fatalities already
Wow.
due to winter severity and the ticks.
Wow.
So yeah, the moose population is not in a good place.
But that's different than the deer
Ow.
season, right? Yeah.
Ow.
When you talked about the state forests and the management, do you have any idea what the costs are to the state to manage its parks?
I have no idea. It's
What
not
type of-
within the board's.
Any type of an idea of the personnel that the state hires to do that?
No idea.
It seems to me if there's a cost associated with managing the state forests, we would also incur costs to manage our town forests. So I guess that's a question I have. I'll
I
leave
don't
it
know.
at that.
I think under 10.5, if we were to continue to allow hunting, and again, I'm going to encourage the public to let us know what they have to say about this issue by either calling in at 524-2415 or by emailing the town manager at any given time, and she'll pass your message along to us. I think we have to beef up 10.5, maybe improve. I mean, I get we're referencing statute and rules established by. Is that descriptive enough for somebody reading this ordinance that might? Because these are all listed online, and somebody that's wondering, they're sitting at their house a week before archery or a week before, say youth weekend for rifle, and okay, I want to take my son out. I don't own any property to hunt deer. I know there's a town forest up there. Wonder if hunting's allowed. I'm gonna go up, and I'm gonna go to the town's website, and okay, they got a parks ordinance. Forest might be under there, and they scroll through here. They get to the last page. They see hunting, and they just say it's allowed, and maybe somebody reading that would know what the statute and rules are that are set forth by the Vermont Department of Fish and Wildlife. Maybe we want to be a little bit more prescriptive and say you will follow all those rules. Plus, you have to be so many feet off of a walking trail. Is that already included? Do you already have to be so many feet
off a
trail?
road.
But a walking trail.
Yeah, but its feet aren't gonna matter if you're talking about bullets.
No.
No,
Sorry,
I mean, Maybe
I don't think it matters.
maybe the happy medium is you allow archery and black powder
Oh.
and not rifle.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have clearly defined dates, because if we're
Well, they
building up the
change.
trail, the fall is nice. You know, a lot of mountain bikers go up there. They need to know, is there hunting here or is there not?
Well, that's the
So
other
do we
side of
allow
that
the
coin.
whole hunting season? Can we allow part of the hunting
Right.
season?
I think it's a
And I
very
think-
tough
And it's a
decision
long
to
time
make.
tradition up here.
And I think, and apologize if this sounds a little crass, but I think we're being a little prejudicial, you know, why not the alternative that during hunting season, there's no public use of the forest? I mean, you know, we're kind of targeting one group here as a problem that we don't have any definitive evidence that there's been a problem.
Like you said, we don't know how many people are up there. We don't know. And we don't know how many people will come with this new trail network and these improvements that we're making. We don't know if there'll be additional mountain bikers that we haven't seen in hunting seasons in years past. We just don't know.
But we are increasing the population up there, and that's the worrisome part.
You see where we're at?
I do.
have to-
I wholeheartedly. I think this is a beautiful piece of property that should be open to all to enjoy. And I think you have the challenge of finding a happy medium. And I don't think that happy medium is just excluding one group
No,
exclusively.
no. That maybe it's
Oh, exclude people from drinking.
You think?
no, well, maybe it's like archery and black powder. Your rounds, your ammunition is limited in distance in comparison to a rifle. Maybe the happy medium is we allow black powder. Well, black powder's in December, so usually there's snow on the ground, and wouldn't the forest be closed by the first snowfall? So maybe black powder, in accordance with the ordinance that we already have in place, usually doesn't make sense anyway because there's already snow on the ground. But who knows? Alan, I see you got your hand up.
You know me, I can't keep my mouth shut.
Oh, I know, but
I would eliminate archery and keep the rifle season, because then you got all the way to the end of October. Then you can have youth weekend, you can have rifle season, you can have muzzle loading season. Well, I'm gonna play devil's advocate now, because then you're gonna say, what about the squirrel hunter? And stuff like that. So, you could eliminate hunting, but leave rifle and muzzle loading. But then you're gonna have that hunter that says, well, I like to squirrel hunt. I wanna go out and shoot a rabbit or whatever. It's,
but that season
Yeah.
is in conflict with.
well, what I'm saying is, there's always gonna be a conflict, so, I mean,
It's almost
We have
like we
to-
have to pick a specific season and either allow it or disallow it.
I'm just,
You know, I think I agree with Jay to the aspect of why not close the trails down during hunting season? We have a safety problem here. And how do you eliminate somebody getting hurt, right? Is not being in the area when hunting is going on. So if we want to be fair to both parties, and it's not a it's not a lot of time to close it down. I mean, close down the walking trails for the hunting season.
Just rifle?
Keep people safe. No, the hunting, we're talking about deer season.
6 weeks?
Well, that's October through the first week of December.
So isn't it worth it to save somebody's life?
Well,
And on the other
we're
hand,
talking 10 weeks.
I agree with,
Well,
we'd have to,
to be careful with that language, because grouse season starts September 1st and
You
squirrel
see, you
season.
guys want too much. I live on French Hill, and I know there's plenty of hunting and there's open land there.
Well-
So the acreage on the town park is minimal to compared to what's available. And I just think we save the park, we protect the people who want to use the park.
you might have a point there too, because now we're talking squirrel season and all that, and I wasn't thinking of that, but
Well, maybe-
I was thinking primarily deer season.
Maybe we close it for rifle and black powder to anybody that's not, because who's going to be using it at that time anyway? I think a lot of people who are native to Vermont would automatically know that that's a season and that if that's an allowed use, I'm not going up there anyway.
I don't think
know.
you have to necessarily decide it tonight. I mean,
No,
I
there's,
need to vet it
there's a
out,
discussion
but-
that needs
Boy, I
to.
think
Because
that's
this season, like this fall, we're having our trails work done, you know, I'd have to actually put signs up for that.
And if I could just, a couple last comments, and I'll leave you alone here. I understand you're saying it's only 140 acres, but it's another 140 acres to hunters.
Maybe to hunters, but not to the town. It's only a small
they're a part of
portion.
it.
Well, but the hunters are
It's always
taxpayers
open.
too, you know, that's, and the second part of that is there may be an alternative by allowing permitted hunting, a lot like a refuge does, where you have to apply and be granted a permit by the town, and maybe you limit it to 5 permits.
That's it.
And you know, I don't know the logistics of that. I don't know if that's even a reasonable expectation or recommendation, but it's a consideration that's done in state management and federal management areas. And then you know what you've got for hunters in there. The problem becomes, as it will, even if you post it, is enforcement. Because I can tell you put signs up all around there like wallpaper, you're gonna have people in there.
Brenda. Jessica, do you have any idea of when the trails would be used? Are they used primarily on weekends or weekdays?
I mean, if you go, Hardak has been growing in use on their mountain bike network, and there's people there every day
Yeah,
that
that I
I've
know.
been there, and all the way through the fall.
I think a permitted use sounds like it could be something that, because then you know who's there, you know roughly when they'll be there.
I'd
think-
like to
What they're
look at
hunting.
what other towns have done.
Yeah.
And I,
Maybe there's a cutoff date.
Other boards in similar positions have already set precedents that we could look to.
Yeah, you can look at
Maybe
that.
that's something else to consider.
I'd like to hear from the public on this one too, because this is definitely involves everybody.
It does.
The bottom line is safety. Let's just, the bottom line is safety, keeping people safe.
Well, it's safety and health.
Well, it's,
The trails are open for our health.
we don't want to set. What's that?
Hunting selfie.
It's a good walk, yeah.
But I believe Al, on the backside of French Hill, the falls, the falls is now no hunting. Jerry Yates owned it. It was a beautiful spot with the waterfalls and everything, and a lot of deer, a lot of moose in there, and they just closed that down. There used to be a lot of hunters. I think they sneak in when they pull over by the preserve, and the swamp, and they go in that way, but the area is shutting down for hunting.
And population's growing. Surprise, surprise.
It's obvious there was a problem.
You don't want to exclude any particular group. And
Yep.
it's the same problem that we ran into with the smoking discussion, but I think we arrived at the right conclusion there. I just don't know that the same, not allowed period is the right approach. I don't know that it is. I think
Was-
there's some more soul searching to be done on
It's
that.
definitely a subject where you're not gonna satisfy everybody's opinion, that's for sure.
Right, but I think if you come up with a solution that offers time to everyone and is controllable, and then we see where it goes from there, like when you're negotiating a deal on anything, both sides should walk away happy about most of what they got and unhappy about a few things. I think that's normal. But I think it's up to us to come up with the public's help and with the help of our staff and with the help of people like Jay, to see where the middle ground is and what we're comfortable with.
Not being a hunter either, are there such things as permitted times? Where one
Well,
group
yeah.
could use it certain hours and the other group could use it the other hours?
Like set a shooting time for the forest of like noon. And then people know that if you're gonna go mountain biking, go afternoon.
Yeah,
What do you
something,
think about that, Jay? Is that too much?
Again, it comes down to
Enforcement.
enforcement.
Yeah.
Right.
We're not gonna settle this tonight, guys.
We're not gonna settle it tonight, but I'm thinking
options.
options.
There's a lot of options out there.
Just to think
It's
about. If you come up with anything that you'd like to share with us, please give it to Carrie. Because we need to learn your perspective.
No, better yet, could you have somebody from Fish and Wildlife come to the board to help us think it through?
Yeah, maybe a warden that deals with
Make that
enforcement.
recommendation, yes.
That would be really helpful, I think.
Somebody
I
who
think
deals
so.
with enforcement too. That would be very
Game
good.
warden, maybe.
Because if we're throwing around ideas and you're saying they're unenforceable, maybe somebody has something that is more enforceable than.
Yeah, and let's
Another-
hear from the experts.
When would you like to have that discussion so I can give them a date?
Second meeting in July, I think would be fair.
Well,
Well, we've got a packed meeting on the 17th.
that's the next one.
Yes.
Yeah, so the one after that or more
Well,
later.
Would
one
be
more.
July 1st or July 15, 1 or 15.
You want a month or you want a month and a half? I'm up for either.
Well,
What does
I
the
would say
manager
it's
think?
really up to the state.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
they're-
so how about this? July 1st or July 15th?
They're gonna be
Whichever
busy,
they'd
so-
like.
Okay. You can do that.
And then whichever they come up with, we'll make our agenda accommodate them.
Yeah.
'Cause they're providing us a service and the
Yeah,
least we
we'll
can do
put them
is.
first on the agenda so they can get out early.
Yes. Okay. Does anybody, we went through the whole,
The only one left I had was 648. I'll go back and see where it says unless permitted. 648. So all hunters are permitted. And that's why I wanted to talk about town forest first.
right, before you get back to that.
Before we come
It's all
back.
conflicting.
It's all, yeah. So,
Whatever we decide will have to be reflected in the.
right, 'cause I'll have to come back to that.
But that also brings up, we don't have permits to carry firearms.
Well, the town could issue one for that property.
No, I can carry a firearm to this select board meeting.
Absolutely.
In a government
You
building.
can't shoot a deer without a.
That's
Permit.
true, but yes, but this just says hunting,
Or carrying,
carrying, or
Hunting.
Well, it's
discharging.
very different.
Says
It's a
hunting,
very
not
different.
hunting another human.
Comma,
carrying.
carrying or discharging a firearm or explosive of any kind.
Okay, so you don't want anybody carrying a firearm, period. Is that, this
I'm
is
just
what this is
questioning how
saying.
you write it.
This is literal. If you take it in the literal sense, nobody can carry, which is not our intent.
You're opening a whole different can of worms there, my friend.
Well, let's try to get out of the weeds when we do rewrite that.
Yeah, so
Okay. Does anybody?
I did my.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
You did your homework.
No,
I always do my homework.
Always.
I always do it.
always. You know, a lot of.
Moving right along.
Does anybody
Alright.
else have anything they'd like to add to that discussion, or are we pretty intent on continuing onward when?
Move.
Okay, let's move on.
All
Fair
right,
enough.
there we go. All right, so the second, we've killed the first item here. The next item hopefully is fairly straightforward. Our previous employee wellness policy was, as I said, to encourage someone to participate in some sort of health activity. We had previously paid for membership to a gym, and a couple times we went out to bid. But it just doesn't seem to be working for everyone, and we're trying to get more participation and let it be more individualized or custom. So I know it's straightforward. I tried to make it one page. Just encourage you to do something. Maybe you can do something that helps you in a way that we wouldn't think of. So I'll take.
Is 200 what we have budgeted already? Is that what we like? If you broke
That
it
will
down.
work in about the same amount of money we were spending before. That's how I said it, and it's a good amount for, say, a ski pass or a gym membership, or more than enough for a good pair of running shoes. I'm not sure if that counts, but it's something that will
Oh,
encourage
that
someone.
counted for Julie. Like, my only experience with a wellness policy like this was when Julie, my wife, it's so nice to say. It's so
Like
nice
what?
to say. My wife. Oh, it's so weird. I'm not gonna say that word again. It makes me like
Doesn't
stop
trouble
right there.
now.
Hey, make me tear up if you keep it up.
She
She
got reimbursed.
purchased a pair of sneakers and the hospital reimbursed her for it because it was for a spinning class or something
Yeah.
else. She demonstrated that the use was specifically towards another. So I think it's
I think it's in the right direction. I mean, if there's something in there that you have an issue with, fine. But I'd like to approve
think we
it
should.
and encourage it for starting in July 1st.
Does anybody have anything that they don't?
Yes, I do. So, is this for just town employees or families of town employees?
Just the employees themselves.
The scope town, it was benefited full and part-time employees. So for us, the intent was anyone who is currently covered by health insurance. So we were paying for that for Collins Purley, that those people were included in our census.
We allow up to $200
Yes.
per
this-
family,
Yeah.
Under this,
per family.
Boy,
per
that's-
eligible employee.
Well,
That's the question.
That's what I'm trying to figure out, what's going on.
Well, would you allow somebody who bought a pair of sneakers for their kid? I mean, is that what we're after?
I think it's,
Yeah, that's part
I
of
think it's got
it.
to be for the employee.
Me too.
Because we're,
yeah.
well, then you get into the sense of, as a business practice, this type of a wellness policy probably originated with people trying to make their workforce a little bit healthier to lower their insurance costs. And this is an investment in a healthier employee. So, in that sense, their families are also carried on the same policy, so should that be applied in the same way a health insurance policy can be applied? Or do we want to prescriptively make it
Employee.
employee? I think we could probably simplify everything by saying just the employee.
Maximum of $200.
Yes. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I've seen people take advantage of this, where the company I worked for, they used to buy safety shoes, and they had a guy selling the safety shoe brand that you get online, and they were making false tickets out. No, every 6 months they were eligible to renew their shoe allowance, and it got taken advantage of, and when it came to light, it was probably 8-10 people got terminated. I just want to be understanding what we're going to do and how we're going to do it.
Yeah, there's an element of trust there in anything like this too.
Right. For the employees we got here, I don't see a problem.
No, me neither.
But let me ask them, put it this way, we do have employees that have their health insurance with their spouse, and we give them $5,000 instead of, do we give them $5,200 now?
Only if they buy the,
Only if they can buy an approved
Right.
item and show a receipt for it.
Right,
They gotta come in with a receipt.
It's not
Yes.
it's not just
correct. It's not just cash, and we were doing that before, so those who opted that way got to participate in that other program.
Let me ask you a question. There are some people out there that don't want to participate, okay, and that don't.
That's true.
But we'll say, well, you're giving them $200, right?
it's for
So-
a reason though. It's for the reason of trying to help the employee be healthy.
Well, I understand what it is. I
an
understand.
incentive
You don't
to-
have to explain that to me.
You know.
I understand.
I think that's
But I agree that it's just the employee.
yeah.
Because I do the same thing at work. I buy safety shoes for our employees. They buy 2 pair a year, and I have had no problems whatsoever.
I think we
We add the words employee only, just to be clear.
and I think somebody makes a motion to approve this as
Well,
amended.
before we do that, it says item number 2, human resources, we don't have a human
town
resource.
manager.
Well, Jen and I both qualify for that, but we can put town
I've never
managers.
heard you referred to as human resources.
You know what I mean?
Hey,
Well, just part of my responsibilities.
Oh, thank you.
Ellen, do you buy
We can,
I gotta
safety
cry,
shoes
I
for your
want to
kids, or
talk
are
to
they
you
allowed?
first.
we can call the town
They get one
managers.
pair of steel toe
office,
shoes
though.
a year.
Okay.
I have one question as long as we have this can of worms open. I have a feeling I'm gonna get like hollered down, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Is there any merit to extending this to our volunteer firefighters as a perk of being a volunteer? Even if you don't meet the requirements of health insurance?
I don't think you wanna open up that can.
No, I don't either.
Because if you, right now, we're saying employees only and employees who work enough hours regularly to.
Town employees who meet eligibility requirements. One of the eligibility requirements could be that you are an active volunteer in the volunteer fire department.
we pay them for the service,
We do.
so they are employees.
Right, but
And their stipends haven't been adjusted in excess of 10 years.
Yeah, that's a separate question.
But
the
it's-
question you raised,
we were saying benefited. I mean, I said
Yeah,
benefited
benefit.
quite intentionally, that you work enough hours to qualify for the health insurance and all the other.
I just think it would be a nice.
Usually the reason behind these policies is to reduce healthcare costs. So when people are using the health insurance, if it shows they're buying sneakers to go for a run, ideally that's reducing
I'm
the
just-
town's costs.
I was just thinking it could be an excellent way to provide a small, relatively small, and it's all taxpayer money and it all adds up, but a relatively small perk to being a volunteer. And it's such a time, look at it this way.
I know, we'll
Every
we'll bring in more volunteers.
Or keep the ones that we have.
We'll keep the ones that we
Or
have.
just show them that they're appreciated. You know? I don't know.
I guess I'm willing to accept the question, but I'd like to defer it to more thought.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe the fire chief would say that's not necessary. Or maybe ask him, and maybe it's officers and the chief.
before I ask him, I want to understand how we apply the criteria to only that volunteer group. I mean, we have a lot of other
I'm sure we do.
volunteers.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
just want to make sure I treat everyone, I appreciate all of our volunteers. I
Well,
do.
We appreciate all of our volunteers, a lot of people that give time
We
that they
do,
could be
we do, but they're not
spending with
doing the
their
work of a
families.
firefighter.
It's true.
And
You
they're
know-
not obtaining level 1 certifications like our volunteers do. They're not, we've all served on, I think Bruce, you've been DRB, Planning Commission, Select Board.
Yeah,
I've been Planning Commission, Select Board. I've never put my life on the line for the town or its residents.
yeah, I have at a few of these meetings.
Hey,
You shortened it.
yeah,
No, we gotta be careful, guys, because, we're talking about, we wanna treat people as best we can, and we want the best people, but you're talking about little perks, and through the course of the evening, we've talked about a few little perks that add up to a little bit of money. So,
well, how many volunteers
what's-
do we have up there? Less than 30?
We're at the fire department?
34, 33, something like
and
that.
if I'm
Talking
gonna,
like $7,200.
if I'm gonna be volunteer to be a fireman, a pair of sneakers isn't gonna make my decision to do it.
No, but it shows appreciation.
Yeah.
And it's a retention
Well, we
program.
can show appreciation in a lot of other ways.
Well, let's do that then. If
I
we're
think-
willing to open that can of worms, let's
Yeah,
do it.
let's do it. I'm not afraid to step up to the plate there, but let's
But if we,
let's think about it.
so let's approve this, and then maybe someday down the road, I might bring it back up again and say, hey, what about our firefighters?
You certainly can amend it. That's absolutely true.
So why don't we make a motion to approve this as
As per-
written?
As
well
amended.
as amended, because you had a couple.
As amended.
There you go.
So moved.
Second it.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Next up,
Perfect. So the electric vehicle supply equipment grant, well, one of the local, I know Pinona is a name that I've been familiar with around the area for a while. His dad works in the area. Had asked if we had any interest in putting in what's the acronym, EVI or something?
electric vehicle.
Basically an electric vehicle charging station, because there's a number of grants out there. One of the caveats is that it has to be in a public parking area that's open all year round, for obvious reasons.
The only place that would really qualify that would be our own parking lot, no?
Our own parking lot, or maybe down by the bay, the dock parking. Sometimes I see people park there at different times. Right now, it's not,
I think
not
it-
near the water,
I
obviously.
think it's an excellent idea. We're building a new superintendent's office in Milton, and we're anticipating putting one in there. One would ask, well, hey, you're gonna let them charge their cars for nothing? But that's not the case, because the ones that we're putting in work on a credit card. So you pay to charge your car, but we offer the service.
But you have the service, that's
But we
right.
have the service. I think that's fantastic, because the electric car population is growing and it's getting better, and it is a thing of the future.
Right.
And I think it's a pretty good service to offer.
I think we go after,
And if it,
I think we try to go after a grant.
and a lot of them too, Carrie, are subsidized with solar. To some extent. I think it's a good idea. I think we should really consider it in our new
Yes.
location, in our new town office for sure. But there's no reason why we couldn't have one put in out here. I mean, let's face it, we're gonna be here for another couple of years.
Yeah, I was also thinking, where Sherry proposed, Carrie's proposed, excuse me. Because that is open all year round.
Where's that?
By the pier, those
Yeah.
parking
Yeah, but the
spots.
parking spots here.
And
Yeah,
That'd be a
here,
nice-
to me, it would be almost a waste of money because we are moving. But there, it'll always be accessible
yeah,
and
people
usable.
are in and out of here. They're not gonna stay
And
for an hour or
electric.
so.
People park over there for a long time sometimes, and they'll plug it up, or we have it just reserved for electric,
Yeah, make it, yeah.
then we're
One
short
spot.
on parking now.
Why not put it in why not put it in the park?
It's
It's
closed.
closed.
Because
Oh,
currently,
close it.
yeah.
What about over by the entrance to the park?
And then
We have
No?
that blocks cars getting in and out.
Well, could it be moved after it's installed?
I think it's
Once it's
difficult. It's
here,
kind of
here.
expensive to put in. I don't think they're very mobile. But I can ask
a
that.
lot of support.
What does Alan suggest?
Alan, what do you suggest?
No, she was asking about moving, I said, you gotta meter that electric, so we have to pay the bill on it. I know you have it set with a credit card, but someone initially pays for that power. It goes through a source. So if it's here, it's tied into the bill, and we have to pay.
Well, when you put the credit card through it,
Through a new meter.
that cost comes back to the owner.
I
Okay?
understand that, but the
Like a
original
credit card.
amount of electricity going through is getting billed.
Oh, yeah,
It's like
yeah,
anything
yeah.
else
You
that
gotta
buy
fit
and
the,
sell.
you gotta
You get
foot
a
the
bill
bill
for it. It's not that big of a
initially.
deal.
Then we're repaid by the number of times that it's used.
And
Which
if
is
it's
a
not, if
pretty
it's
good
not
setup.
used, it's not used. I mean, if it's not used, it's not paid for. It's not using very much power, and it's not that much of a net cost.
Some of the literature that I read, you know, they placed it in areas that they offered restaurants, movie theater or something, and it would draw the person to that area, and the person usually spent money in that
Got a
area.
brand new marina right there.
Yeah, but you know, the thing of it is that placing it in the music, you know, and locations like Stan just talked about, when you charge your car, you're not gonna charge it for 10 or 15 minutes. You're gonna charge it for an hour, 2 hours, you know? So,
But the place Gary suggested is right across the street from Bayside.
I don't disagree with that location.
And
I
the
don't
utilities
disagree with
right
it.
there. I mean, there's a lot of that.
We walk over to the restaurant.
Yeah,
or-
and you know, that draws
Convenience
people
store.
too. A person
As
owns
part
an
of-
electric car
I
would
guess-
say, let's go to the bay. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
great, because I can charge a
I'm
car
sure it's
while
gonna
we're
show
there.
up on a map.
I
and
guess
a
my
website.
question would be, as part of this grant, what's the match? What might the cost be?
It actually is,
Are we allowed to do it in kind?
no, I don't think it's in kind, but,
I mean, a lot of that sporting infrastructure is a however many line from a pole to a meter pedestal.
the grants are 90%,
big.
they range from the cost range, they're big, it's a big range, but 15 to 40,000 at the most per site. So,
10% of that total, or 10%
10%.
total?
each EV project is relatively inexpensive, ranging from 15,000 to 40,000, and this grant will match 90% of that.
Wow.
Okay, done.
So, I mean, that's still a big range, but that's
Go after it.
maxes it.
Well, even if it's
Go after
40,
it. If we get it,
90%, we'll take that.
put it
Right.
lock it up over
Yeah.
there. Pick one stall. Make it EV parking only up to so many, whatever the industry standard time is, and
But
if
we
we
want,
get it, we
we
get
want
it.
the one that works with the credit cards though.
if we can
So
get
we
it,
get a return on our investment.
Right.
at least have it be revenue neutral.
Okay.
Maybe it's so much to pay back that original 1,500 to
Well,
4,000
it's gonna
until
take a
we pay
while,
that
but
off.
at least we're getting some of our 10%.
It's the way of the
back.
future, and if this is going to become a recreation center like we all hope it does, I think it's an amenity.
Kerry,
to
I'll
it.
send you information from the company we're dealing with.
Yep, that's fine. Well, I'm pretty sure this Jeff Bonona has a good idea on what company he'd like to use, but we
Oh, yeah,
can ask.
yeah.
Yeah,
Might be the same one we're using.
probably is.
I don't know.
Can't be too many of them around
No.
here for only 600,000
I thought he
people.
owned the
They
monument.
put some up at the hospital, and
think
every
so.
time I go by, there's cars parked
Oh,
there
we've
now.
I
got-
don't think so.
We've got probably 6 or 8 teachers that are right after us constantly to get them put in.
So the last thing under town manager, oh, I'm sorry. Brendan?
Alan,
Just curiosity, should we check with Green Mountain Power to make sure it is a doable site?
well, what's
I
the?
know there's power there, but
You know
I'm
what
not an
that is?
electrician, I
Jeff,
don't know.
Jeff is going, we can ask him, but he said he would help write
All
this
that is
and
is an
explore the
email
site,
to-
so it's not
Okay.
something I'm gonna push.
No,
All
I
that is
just
all
didn't
that
know.
is an email to a line engineer.
Green Mountain Power.
Yeah.
Let them take care of it.
Megan,
Yeah.
email Megan. But okay, so your last item.
Okay, the last item, Department of Public Works update. As many people probably seen going by, we did have a groundbreaking last week. We got our permits on Friday of last week, so we can start actually putting in things like the water line and more of the driveway, and it is moving forward pretty nicely at this point. You're gonna start to see even more earth moved in that area, so.
Great. I'm sorry I missed it.
Site
Which
groundbreaking.
we
Yeah.
did try to make it really brief, and the rain held off. We were lucky that it rained a lot that day, but not that first hour.
Is that the only gold shovel you have?
No, we had we had a number of them, we borrowed them from Connor Contracting.
Yeah.
I'm trying to recycle, reuse
Oh,
and
and then I made
recycle.
Supposed to.
Did you read the article that Mr. Fett wrote about the detail exactly how that shovel came into existence?
You're supposed to, that's supposed to be a collectible item after you break the ground.
Well, hey.
The ground with it.
We'll do it. We'll have a big one for the town hall, and we got the ribbon cutting ceremony to work.
Yeah.
Look forward to here.
So that's all I have under town manager's report at this time.
So we have schedule.
So the one thing I'd like to add to that schedule is we're still trying to set a date for the joint meeting with the city. And I had 2 dates out there. I didn't hear from anyone as to availability. The 20th or the 25th was.
Stan is available. He told me that the other day.
Give me a 1 day to just triple check everything.
Okay,
My life's been pretty hectic.
I'll be out
I
of
know,
town the 25th.
okay.
But so it's the 20th that we're looking at.
It looks like, yeah,
So it's the 20th.
which is a Thursday.
I'll look that up. We
What
can
will
talk
be,
about
will be.
We're allowed to talk amongst ourselves for scheduling purposes.
You
anyway,
are.
So we'll continue that discussion.
All right,
But we want to make that happen. It's a high ranking priority to make that meeting a reality for me.
This is,
Um,
what date you said?
the 20th of June
Okay,
Which
is
is a
another
Thursday.
tentative date. I mean,
fine with me. The 20th is June is fine with me.
okay.
It should be okay with me. I'm taking a required 40-hour class to obtain a real estate broker's license in Brattleboro, and I just want to make sure that that's not one
Not
of the
that
dates.
day, okay. That's a
And
ways away.
It's all broken up over a 2-week stretch, and that's part of it. But I'm almost positive that that's not one of the dates.
Okay,
So I'll get back to you literally before I leave the building today.
okay. And our next meeting is June 17th, and then after that, July 1st.
And okay. Nobody has any pending vacations for the fourth holiday that
It's a vacation.
I don't know. I'm going on my first one in over 3 years tomorrow.
Yeah, so, I mean, July 4th, the office is closed. We'll have probably a skeleton crew on that Friday, but the office is only technically closed 1 day that week. It's a Thursday. And Bay Day is
Works
July
complex.
6th. It's time to start talking about that.
I thought you said you were gonna do it tonight.
17th. Everybody's gonna be here for it.
All right.
Okay, so we're done with schedule.
Yep.
The only thing I have to report under the chair's report is that we received another state payment for the local option tax. It was quarter number 4 of FY19. It was for the date range of February 9th to May 10th. And it was for $189,674.48. We received it on the 22nd of May. That makes a total for FY19 $868,093.73, bringing our total LOT revenue since its implementation on May 10th, 2014. So the grand total is at $3,765,722.40. Which is a good point to highlight that. A lot of people ask a lot of questions about how much do we make, and there we go.
That's until we pay for the new town garage.
Yes. Well, and then that's all gonna get expensed except
So I was noticing that typically the fourth quarter is a lot less than, I was wondering what the reason was.
well, everybody's tired of shopping.
Yeah, it's that quarter.
They just get through Christmas.
There's
Okay.
also less tax money coming back because of the change in rules.
True too, yeah.
But does anybody have any other business?
I do have 2 items. The first, I would like to ask that we put on the agenda for the city-town meeting, the whole discussion about the St. Albans Skating Association request that the 2 municipalities support them in some manner. I don't know how we want to proceed, but I would like at least to have a discussion about their needs and their wishes, so we have a joint policy.
Are you talking primarily about the
SASA,
second
thank
rink?
Yes.
Albans
Yeah, okay.
Area
Yes.
State Skating Association.
Yeah, that'd be a good topic. I agree.
Do you want to invite, are you proposing that we invite somebody from Sassa to pitch?
Nope,
to the-
nope,
No,
nope,
no,
nope.
no.
Well, there are a lot of people that aren't,
No,
Totally
most
up to
of us,
speed on that.
I believe that the city Board of Aldermen have some people who are up to date speed on it, and certainly Bruce and I are up to speed on it, so.
yes, a lot of us are, but some of them, I mean, is there any information that needs to be disseminated before that conversation can take place with every
No.
member of both boards?
How much money do you want to bank?
I'd like to know what they've decided to do with the money that we already spent.
Have we
Oh,
paid any invoices against that
Yes.
five?
No, we put money up front.
We put up
Have
Ready
we
to
$5,000.
go.
gotten any invoices?
We
for
put
that
up
money yet?
$5,000.
No, they invoiced us and we gave them the $5,000
Gave them
per
a check.
motion, so I have not
Why don't we
seen
do
any
that on
report
one
though.
time?
I
about
have
what was
not.
done.
They were making a decision where they're gonna go to Collins.
What did they do with that? I would
Or
like to
Hardek.
know. I
They
mean,
That
analyzed.
decision hasn't been made 100% yet.
Right.
They were
Well, how
supposed to
can we
do
discuss
that.
it?
That decision hasn't been made yet.
Well, how do we discuss it without having a definitive?
What?
How do we discuss this and develop any type of a joint?
The question,
Consensus,
the
when we
question
don't
will
know the
boil
details.
down to is, their first option is ideally to have it at Collins Pearly because of the support systems. However, if that's not feasible for multiple reasons, and there's tons of them, if that's not possible, then to move it to Hardek.
Okay.
In either case, Sasha is a nonprofit corporation that will have a hard time funding or guaranteeing repayment. And so it gets down to us and people looking at their projections on income and expenses to see whether or not they could pay back the mortgage.
The last time.
What they're looking for is, will the city and town in some manner guarantee that mortgage?
So here's where I was at. I was invited to a meeting back, I don't know,
Yep.
a month and a half ago, 2 months maybe,
Yep,
and was brought up to speed roughly with Bruce, and it was very informative. And my only request was, I pulled a mortgage calculator out my phone. I said $3 million. The city manager gave me a current bond rate over 30 years. I ran it. It was like 240,000. I said, can you drive that much revenue to repay that debt? And I felt like I was asking a question that hadn't really been discussed or researched at that time. That's as an individual
that's
board
where-
member,
yes.
I want to know that if we as the town are going to use our grand list to guarantee the security of any loan, I want to know that the payer has the ability to repay it, either through, because they were mentioning that, a lot of pledges for fundraising will be over a certain number of years. And how does that add up? I'd like to see the accounting of it. That's all.
they have the obligation to bring pro formers to us. But this discussion with the city is to set the criteria that is necessary for us to evaluate that. At least if we're going to work together, to then set the criteria between the two municipalities, setting a criteria by which to tell Sasha what they need to do and how we're going to evaluate what they find. They have, in the interim, since you've met with them, they have talked to other contractors who are agreeing to pay ice time, which thus far, they say, makes a profit for them.
Oh.
But we need to see that clearly and distinctly, and I think we have to have somebody independently assess their pro formers to make sure that they're truly accurate. I think there's a lot of stuff to do. My only point is I've been asked to bring this forward,
In front of both boards.
that we have an opportunity to talk it with both boards to talk it out together.
I think it's a great agenda item. I'd want to talk to the mayor about it to make sure that I'd ask our manager to talk with their man. Our people talk to their people,
Yes,
just to make sure that it's an okay subject for them.
yeah.
And if
I'm
it's
just asking
okay,
for
let's
us
do it.
five to
Right,
ask
right.
our-
Just reach some
to
consensus
talk to
first.
Divik.
Yeah, we've been talking about it separately, and we've gone as far to each give $5,000.
We can't commit based on speculation.
That's right,
Right.
right.
So
But maybe if they can present
we
us-
do end up like Burlington College.
Yes.
Did you have
I can already
something else?
anticipate your worries, but that's what we need to discuss with a larger group.
Well, the city's got a lot of factors in recreation spending that they need to account for also in debt load. I mean, they've got a pool that needs a rebuild, and the city managers expressed that concern. And you know, I don't know where they're at with that project or how that weighs in, but it would be nice to discuss it and see if that plays a
Absolutely,
role.
because there's over $10 million in requests for recreation funds. You have the ice rink. You also have people that want an indoor facility for playing soccer and other sports. You've got the pool. I
That's a
forget
lot
what
more
all the
than
other
10
things.
million, just those three things together.
Yeah.
You
So-
know, what worries me though,
How do you
Al,
prioritize them?
is I understand the demand here in Franklin County, but is that enough demand to support dollars like that?
Right.
I mean,
That's what we-
I was talking to our athletic director, and he told me that he would sign a contract, a 2-year contract tomorrow, if it was there. But it's not there,
Right.
okay? And that's a lot of money, and I understand, you know, soccer and football and hockey and all that stuff, but that's Franklin County. And we may need to get more than Franklin County involved in order to float that ship.
I don't disagree. I mean, that's why the pro forma.
Yeah.
Who's going to be the users of it, and are they willing to pay for a 5-10 year contract?
Yeah.
I think
And
it'd
does
be
that-
good to talk to the city and so we're all on the same page and
Oh,
have
yeah,
some
we gotta-
guidelines, because we're gonna be setting a precedence. I mean, in my mind, the pool and SASA are very different. The
Yeah.
pool's a community recreational asset, and SASA right now is more of a private
Yes.
hockey club.
It is.
Yep.
They're different.
So many, many good things going on though, if they all came about, that you should see the layout that they've got over at Hardak. I mean, the Brown Lodge is gonna happen.
Yep.
I mean, and we've got some architectural design on that, and boy, it's just fantastic.
Did you have a
But if we collaborate and, you know, work with each other, we can make something good out of all this for everybody to
Right.
benefit by.
At some point, we have to sit down and say, you will do this, and we'll agree to do that, and then we need to split the load, because we're serving one collective community at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So that's what the focus should be. Maybe that just comes under the discussion that we've already had kind of planned to have with the rec. Because it's a shared asset there, is the rec program. So maybe that falls under that agenda item. And you can raise that concern to everybody at the meeting.
Well, I thought Carrie was going to check with Brett.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, okay.
I mean, I think it'd be great to have a whole community-wide conversation
Right.
on recreation.
That's what I've been
Bring in
pushing for.
NRPC and the rec
Yep.
department and,
Well, maybe the outcome of this joint meeting is that we decide to do that
Do that.
together.
Yeah.
yeah, and then we can have priority projects as a region
Boy,
and really move something forward.
You realize how easier it would be to do a lot of this stuff if we were one community?
Our tax rate would be a lot higher individually.
No, the services you would get would be phenomenal, and the cost would not be that dramatic.
I'm no merger advocate. I'll leave it at that.
You what?
I'm no merger advocate. That's all I will say about, I'm all for collaboration.
I didn't say merger, I'm just
saying, if we were one, that's all. I don't want to throw a wet blanket on that one, but let's.
Okay, we ready? Can I move my second thing?
Do I have a choice? No, go ahead.
My second is that on behalf of us all, we would like to congratulate both you and your bride for
Yeah.
a very happy wedding. And a very safe travels and a wonderful honeymoon.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We appreciate it very much. We had a great day up in Newport. The weather held out, and we're gonna go. I gotta be in the car driving to the airport in Montreal 2:30 this morning. So
Wow.
You need to get out of here.
With that, I'll move to adjourn.
Al wants to know which.
seconds. Al wants to know.
No, go ahead. Second.
For-
Adjourning.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.